You're listening to the Life with Old Dogs podcast, and I'm your host, Dawn Memnaugh, primary caretaker of all of our wonderful senior German Shepherds right here at Woody's Place Senior German Shepherd Sanctuary. Okay, welcome back to the Life with Old Dogs podcast. I am here today with Tim Mitchum from WINPRO Pets. If you have not heard about WINPRO Pets, they are the industry leader in the plasma space for pets. And Tim is going to talk with us today about how plasma protein is beneficial to our older dogs. Tim, welcome. I'm excited to have you here today.
Yeah, I'm super excited to be here. I appreciate it. And I just appreciate the opportunity to talk with you and your audience. So it'll be great.
All right, awesome. Tim, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you came to be with WINPRO?
Yeah, so the story behind why I'm at WinPro is that actually I should probably start a little bit further back. Well, I'll start with why I'm here. So I was married into a long-haired Chihuahua named Roxy. Now I say married into because I'm kind of a bigger dog guy at heart, but I ended up loving Roxy. And Roxy, being a little dog, she would jump up and down on the couch and up on the bed. And I didn't realize it at the time, but that's a big jump for dogs, especially little dogs. Like that's like me jumping off of the top of a pickup truck's roof or something and jumping back on there. And over time, she stopped doing that. And then new patterns were created, like she'd get picked up and moved around and just, she just couldn't walk and move the way she used to. And so I was doing something completely different in the teaching piano lessons, if you can believe that or not. And so a buddy of mine who was an investor in this local company here in Iowa said, "Hey, you should try this hip and joint product that we have for dogs." It's a company that's taking science from Iowa State University and they are bringing it to dogs and, just give it to Roxy and see what happens. And at that point, I really wasn't the pet health supplement forward person, I guess I would say. I have grown up in the age where dogs lived outside to where they had a doghouse outside to where they came inside when it was just really cold to now they're sleeping with us. Like I've kind of been through all of those phases of being a pet parent. And so I was pretty skeptical of it, but one day we ran out of her normal like milk bone treats and I'm like, I'll just use these to substitute with those treats. And so I gave her some of those hip and joint chews. And within 15 days, she was jumping all over the house. She was jumping on the couch. She was jumping on the bed. She was just, it's like she got her puppy legs back. And the big aha moment for me in that situation was she could always make that jump. She could always do that logistically. It wasn't like she had any tears or anything wrong with her limbs. It was just it wasn't worth it. At some point it wasn't worth it for her to take that jump because it was so painful. And the whole concept behind WinPro at the time, the plasma science, is that it reduces inflammation where it's at. And then that allows a dog's system to heal itself and return to normal. And when that happened with Roxy, she didn't get her puppy legs back. She just got the best versions of her current legs back. And with that, she made different choices to jump up and down. And that was years she hadn't jumped on there, 3 to 4 years. And I thought that was absolutely amazing. And how fun could it be to sell, market, get the product like this into the hands of other pet parents, that it could, make a big difference in their dog's life, especially in this situation, like senior dogs. Like the longer you can extend their mobility and keeping them doing the things that they want to do, I think that that's a massive, win for everybody.
Yeah, I agree. And I believe most, if not all, of our audience would agree as well. And I think we can agree. And I'm listening to what you're saying about your dogs living outside and then it just getting cold and then you bringing them in. That's exactly how it was for me growing up, and that was kind of a normal thing back then. And thank God we've evolved.
Right.
But I think as senior dog parents, we all want what's best. We all want our dogs to be able to jump up on the sofa and be comfy with us, and whatever we can do for them to experience that connection with them is the golden ticket. So,
Right. For sure.
yeah, absolutely. So that is how you came to work for WinPro, and you are the president of WinPro now. So you went from, I guess I'll try this product because I don't have anything left to give my dog that's a treat, to now my dog is jumping up on the sofa and she hasn't done that in years, to now here you are the president of the company.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Well, it's really cool because I just, I think it'd be really, and I've done both. I've been in companies where I wasn't passionate about the product, or the people that I was selling to didn't get transformative results that made them passionate. There was just no passion around the selling or making or, getting the product in people's hands. And I just thought, man, it's just so much more fun to be in a business where even if it doesn't work for that particular um, dog, it will work for dogs. And when it does, it's so fun to see the transformation, that happens. And I think that that's kind of a rare thing
Mhm.
nowadays to have that opportunity. And for me, that's why I kind of jumped on the opportunity to kind of come along the founder and help him start getting this thing going.
Yeah. So you just talked about the founder. Can you tell us a little bit about who that is?
Yeah. Bill Bernardo, he's from Ankeny, Iowa. And his story really around, we all kind of have a dog story, right? Um, I think Woody was your kind of your story, correct?
Very much so. Yes.
Yeah. So back in the 60s, in the late 60s in Algona, Iowa, Bill was, running around that town, and he had an older brother, and his older brother had friends, and those friends weren't always that great to the younger brother. There was, kind of bullied. He just felt alone in this town of Algona, Iowa. And then it just wasn't very fun, right? So then his dad decided to bring home a dog one day named Yankee. And Yankee was a German Shepherd mix, mixed on the smaller side. And that dog just became his life, his best friend. And he puts it, which I think is really interesting and really cool, is that they both saved each other's lives. One time he took a chicken bone out of Yankee's mouth and saved him from choking. Another time, and I mean, I know this is a true story, but it's still hard for me to believe that there was like a rabid rat that was going to bite him out of an alley, and Yankee jumped in front and, like, scared this rat off. And he said that they shared a bond the way only two strays could. And I thought that sentiment that that Yankee had for Bill is really what created his literally endless love for dogs, animals in general, but dogs, just crazy, crazy dog lover. Um, and so he was working over the years, that never left him, obviously, but he was working over the years in different food ingredients. And he started to work for a company in Ankeny, Iowa called APC. And APC is the world's largest collector of blood and fractionator of blood. And at that time in the world, they still may be. Um, and he was doing a new product line for horses. And the product worked so well in horses, he realized that he was in these stables totally uncomfortable around horses, large animals, just uncomfortable. And he had 5 dogs at home. And so he's like, what if this science could work for dogs? How great would that be? Because then it would be like amazing. And so he really took the leap of faith and took the science and took it from where it has been since the 80s in lots of different places. The last stop from horses, performance racehorses, into the dog world. And I don't know if you know this, but like performance racehorses have a real problem. They're like the most stressed animal, I think, one of the most stressed animals just from the everything that they have to go through. But when they get too much stress and inflammation, they start bleeding from the nose. They're called bleeders. I didn't know this either.
I didn't know that. No.
Yeah, they just stress themselves so much. So he was working on a product line for that. And then he decided to take the leap of faith. And that's how he got started with WinPro.
That is an incredible story.
Yeah, it's really cool.
And so how long has WinPro been in business for? Is this technology?
So WinPro has really been in business since 2000. It was an idea in 2016. We really started marketing and going and trying to figure out our way in this world in 2017. And then we've been, growing ever since. I don't know. Did I tell you where the science comes from? Is that okay if I share where that comes from?
I would love to hear this. Yes.
Yeah, because it's really personal to me since I'm in Iowa. Back in the 80s at Iowa State University in Ames, Iowa, they were having a really terrible problem with mortality rate when they were weaning piglets. Mm-hmm. And so they tried environmental, nutritional, shelter, lots of different things to try to figure out this problem. And one of the scientists up there at the time was working on a spray dried plasma matrix with the idea that had benefit to it, health benefit to it. So they sprinkled that on the food, and the mortality rate dropped dramatically, something like 20% to less than 2%. And what they realized in that situation was it was the stress of the weaning process that was causing so much inflammation in these young piglets that's what was creating a mortality issue. So the plasma is really kind of nature's best weapon against inflammation, and that's why that works so well. Well, that science made its way started in pigs, made its way through poultry, cattle, livestock of all species into performance racehorses, and then finally was brought into canines. And then we're going to bring it also into the cat world very quickly, like within the next 60 days. But that science has been around since the 80s, which is crazy to me. And it started right up the road at Iowa State University.
It's interesting to think that it has been around for a few decades now, and most dog parents don't know anything about it and how it could benefit their dogs. It's actually mind-boggling. It really is. So the WinPro Pet line, and there's actually several products available. I mean, even for allergy as well, which is an inflammation, right? Allergy is an inflammation response. But there's also products for calming and for gut health as well. Functional dental sticks. I mean, I was definitely looking through the product line, and I'm anxious to try them because, as you know, you've read our information. We come at things from a holistic approach, and the WinPet product, it's basically an alternative holistic approach for pet health. Correct?
Yeah. So we fit. We have it's a weird kind of category that we're in because we act and have results somewhat like prescription medication, but we're not. We're natural, but we have a different like function than a nutritional. So we're kind of like our own little kind of category in there that is extremely holistic. In fact, the ingredient is kind of being called like a whole body ingredient, because it just works so well holistically inside the system with the goal of just putting the dog or animal in the position to heal itself. So it just helps them, it takes away kind of the excess inflammation that's keeping them from being able to heal themselves.
Not only am I thinking of the senior dogs we have here at the sanctuary, but I'll tell you, and I'm sure you have seen this in your lifetime, a dog coming from a shelter situation, right? Where they've been with the same person, forever. Maybe their person died
Mm-hmm.
and they are completely shut down and stressed at a shelter. I can't imagine the inflammation that's going on in their body. And even removing them from the shelter, getting them to a situation where they feel safe, they're decompressing and whatnot. A product such as this from WinPro would really speed up, I think, the process of getting them back to like a point of homeostasis almost. Like, okay, I can relax now, and then those inflammation levels come down. I'm actually going to try that for the next dog that we get, just for that purpose, to see what
Well, it's
happens.
interesting. Yeah, it's interesting that you say that because our calming product is used a lot in that transition,
Hmm.
but not only in transition for like shelter dogs, but or adopting, but also in training. And I didn't think about this, and it's kind of going along with what you're saying, is that they're shut down. Like you said, they're just shut down, right?
Hmm.
And they're not able to receive, whether it's training or just to receive the environment in a healthy way, that allows them to get more comfortable. And so I thought that that was interesting that our product, at least the calming product, is being used for a lot of training because dogs are not able to really be trained if they're fighting pain, and because it's just they're not as receptive to the type of training.
100%. Again, getting back to that shelter dog or even dogs that come here. I mean, again, we work with seniors, so they're 8 years and older. Typically, we end up with geriatric dogs that are 10 years and older. They all have some sort of pain and inflammation at that point. It's a
Mhm.
natural progression of life. Um, so you're right. I just got an email the other day from someone saying just that their 12-year-old dog is suddenly aggressive toward another dog, toward people. And my first question to that person was, well, have you had your dog checked out medically yet? Have you looked for any physical? I'm probably 100% certain that dog has arthritis, which is painful,
Mm.
right?
Interesting.
And
Yeah,
that's why,
right.
yeah, that's why the dog may be snapping and unhappy. I mean, it's the dog's way of saying, I don't feel well, and here's the sign. Could you please help me? Um,
It's really not
so
that much different than us
no,
when you
exactly.
think about it. Like
Except
if
for
my
we have words.
shoulders, right, if my shoulders hurt, I'm like avoiding my 5-year-old running around the house, or I mean, it's just you're protecting yourself. And
Right.
when you can't say, "Hey, my shoulder hurts. Can you just stay away from this?" That's the behavior, right? That's really a good point.
Yeah, 100%. So, how could they possibly focus on anything else when they have this pain and this discomfort? Again, it is just like us. If our pain level is so great, we're not interested in, going out hiking with friends or whatever. All we can really do is, like you said, focus on that shoulder that's really bothering you, and trying to figure out a way to alleviate that pain so we can have quality of life again.
Right.
So could you tell me about the ingredient that you're talking about in the WinPro Pet products? What is this ingredient that you're talking about?
Yeah. So essentially, what we do is we take porcine blood and recycle that. So that's pig blood, and we 100% recycle that, and then we fractionate out just to make it so that it's not too sciencey to lose people, but we spin that and we fractionate out all the good things inside of that blood, plasma being the really powerful ingredient inside that. And that comes out in those situations with really powerful blood proteins inside of plasma. Okay. And then that is in the form of spray dried plasma powder. And so we take that spray dried plasma powder and we put that into our mixture of our chews as the core ingredient. And then we wrap around a couple other ingredients that would be typical to that type of supplement to kind of like boost, the impact of the results you're trying to get. So for instance, in our calming product, we have taurine and theanine and, plasma. In our hip and joint, we would have balanced collagen as an addition. But we're not trying to load up with tons of nutritional ingredients because our promise isn't to treat or support anything with nutrition. Our promise is to reduce inflammation so that the dog can actually get more out of the nutrition or restore themselves to normal because inflammation is caused in so many different ways, and dogs are attacked more now than ever with stressors, whether that's, chemicals in your house, noises, other, I see more and more, dogs that unfortunately aren't brought into homes that they think about, training and walking and being comfortable, around other dogs. So then there's, aggressions there, and there's just a lot of stressors that happen on dogs nowadays that maybe didn't happen as much before. And so many chemicals and toxins that are in the environment and in their world with their noses and tongues and paws to the ground.
Mm-hmm. And I would just like to add to that because I'm a huge advocate of dogs eating real food. They need it. And I think one of the biggest parts of inflammation for our dogs is the processed food that they're eating, the kibble that they're eating. It's loaded with omega-6 fatty acids, which of course
Mm-hmm.
causes inflammation. Now, omega-6, it does have a job, right? If you have an illness or an injury or something, it creates that inflammation to help you heal quicker. But the problem is there's too much, and there's not enough omega-3 fatty acid to counterbalance that, right? So the kibble
Yep.
itself, and you're talking about chemicals, um, it's really just a lot of junk in a bag that we are giving to our dogs, whether they be senior or not, and it is certainly causing inflammation in their poor bodies.
Yeah, a lot of problems, right? Well, I mean, that's like the beginning of a lot of problems is the
Hmm.
inflammation untreated
Right.
can, cause real problems down the line.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So Tim, um are there any side effects um to the spray dried protein, plasma protein? Are there any side effects that could, maybe too much, if it could be bad to dogs? Is there anything like that people would need to look out for?
There's been over 300 university studies around plasma and like spray dried plasma and this use, and it's been in use in different types of species for what is it, 40 over 40. Um, so there is no side effects. I think one thing that everybody with any product that can be careful with, it is different. So some dogs are more sensitive than others. So you may, ease your dog into a new product, especially if they have a sensitive stomach or they have a history of, just kind of sensitivity around that.
Mhm.
But plasma is an amazing digestive solver of problems at the same time. So there is no harmful side effects. You can't overdose with the plasma because it just won't be used if it's, I mean, inside the system, if it's not needed, it just, but there is no issues with any of that stuff.
Okay. So is it true that the protein plasma, you were talking about digestion, does it help dogs absorb nutrients better?
Yeah, but it attaches to, so there's inflammation in the gut wall as well. So if you think about plasma being um, the natural enemy of inflammation, just think of it, if you think of it like that, the inflammation in the gut wall creates a lot of challenges as well. So when you keep that gut wall and that lining very healthy, it absolutely 100% helps absorb any type of nutrients and nutrition way better than without.
Hmm. Immediately, my mind goes to leaky gut.
Yeah, we have
We're
a
talking about
lot of
strengthening
dogs that,
the wall.
yeah, we have a lot of dogs that come to us with pet parents using verbiage like that.
Mhm.
Um, and they have a lot of success with our products.
Oh, that is exciting. It really is. And I can't wait. I'm actually going to try this. I really am. I should have tried it before now, but I have to be honest. I didn't know anything about this at
Right.
all, but
Well,
I'm
that's
glad.
that's why I'm excited to be able to, kind of share it with people like you that that understand it, and get excited about holistic alternatives that maybe haven't thought about.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Um, So getting back to, okay, we covered the side effects. So of course, when people hear pig blood, they may freak out, right? And maybe they don't understand the whole process of extracting the plasma, and they may think of diseases that they've heard associated with pigs and pig blood. Is there any worry or any concern with
Ye-
that?
Yeah, zero. And I'm happy to also give you some information that you can link down below that goes to like kind of the process that can get it more in depth. But there is no, with the process that plasma powder, spray dried plasma goes through, it eliminates any of the opportunity for any type of disease from the origin to be carried through to that final ingredient. And I like to mention that that's so dramatically proven out when we struggled with the mad cow disease that was going on. That was one of the only ingredients that in the bovine form that was allowed to still go through in this situation because it had the science behind it that said, oh, it just doesn't carry, it doesn't carry any of those diseases or any issues related to the original um, species.
No, and like I said, I can see people being concerned about that.
Sure.
When I find out about new products and I'm excited to get the word out there about the product, I always think of my mom. My mom, she's almost 78 years old, and she is the type of she loves her animals, right? And she is the type of person who would just buy something just because. And
Right.
I always try to inform her about, well, this might not be a good product, or this is a great product and here's why. So whenever I do anything like this, I always picture like I'm talking to my mom, and I want it like
Mm,
spelled out for her, so she can be like a consumer of science and feel really
right.
good about what she's doing for her dog. And I feel like people who listen to this want the same thing.
For
um
sure.
yeah, yes, absolutely. So if you, yeah, I would definitely attach that information that you were talking about in the show notes. I'll make sure that they're
Yep.
included in the podcast and the YouTube video so people can have actual links that they can go to. Maybe even I believe it's on your website that you actually have scientific studies on
Yep.
there. Yeah. So I
Plasma
will,
is
I
one of
will,
the most studied ingredients in the last 40 years. It just hasn't been in the companion world where it's been, kind of like promoted, but it's extremely studied.
yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm glad it is finally in the companion world. I think it's because more of us are looking at our companion pets like they are family, right? They're no longer
Right.
exiled to the backyard in that dog box and only coming in when it gets below zero or whatever,
Right.
which was so
Right.
sad. It really was. Um, so yeah, we want what's best for them and we want them to be here for as long as possible. And I feel like a product like WinPro with the protein plasma is a good addition to a dog who's maybe even if they aren't on kibble, but also even if they have a completely balanced nutritional diet, this is still something that's going to add to that arsenal of keeping our dogs as healthy as possible for as long as possible.
Yeah, you couldn't have said it better.
All
100%.
right, good.
That-
So you would like to add, Tim?
Um, I don't think I have anything else to add. I'm just really grateful that I had the opportunity to like talk to you and your audience. And if there's ever any questions that anybody has, that they can reach out, and I'll put my contact information for you in the show notes. And then I'll also have a 20% off coupon for you or any of your listeners that we can put in those show notes too if they want to give it a try. And I will just say this too: we have a 100% no hassle, no ship back product guarantee. We understand that, some dogs, you know, it may not work for some dogs. We understand some dogs don't eat certain products. So we want to take all that risk away. And we really honor that no questions asked. So there is no risk in at least trying the product if it makes sense.
Absolutely. Tim, are you on social media anywhere? Can our listeners find your products on social media anywhere? A lot of our listeners are on Facebook and Instagram.
Yeah, are definitely on Facebook if you just type in WinPro Pet.
Okay.
And then our website is winpropet.com. And then I'll have all of the social media links in the show notes for you as well too, for any additional ones.
All right, that would be awesome because, like I said, I know we're going to have people wanting to know a little bit more, looking at the products, seeing if they're a good match. Definitely using that coupon. I'll be using that coupon for sure. And this was great. Thank you so much for being on here and explaining all about protein plasma, porcine plasma, spray dried protein plasma, and why it's beneficial for our senior dogs. I really appreciated it.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate your time too. Thank you.
Thank you.